hearing the sounds. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had. One by one, the other players leave the table. Sometimes. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt. Yep. 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades. The man in gray smiles. All right.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that. Your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is most. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, to pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into... Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliché. You'll sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. Deepest desires? Your greatest wish? Heaven? Big rock candy mountain? Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching. It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks. Well, try your luck out there in this country. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for not many who can do that. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part, and death, yes. But don't worry. Go on your way, seeker. Maybe we'll meet again. Either way, it'll be an experience. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One of the women wrinkles her nose in disappointment. The other raises a rifle, levels it at you, and shouts,
upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be no one else to dig my hole. Ooh. Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree, tied to a sturdy stick. The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore, but I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father.
This will be my tale, my vagrant song.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of Another year of this town being here, he replies, letting a grin spread across his face. woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis, a confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped, you question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. A longshoreman watches stevedores load up a crane. Yellow ribbon? That woman's dead. See storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught at the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral. You're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door. Another man. This one with a higher, more sonorous voice. After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. Tea? He offers, hoisting a teapot. A few years. The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. 5. Says the smaller, but by no means. You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea, and This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find, compelled by the cold and foreboding night, you don't question it as you drag your bones into the cab. But you realize immediately how strange... Where to? He asks. You have to stop and think. Eventually, you name Boston Common, the only landmark you know in this town. He peels off silently. You feel the car move before you hear the engine. He takes you through ever odder streets, flanked by painfully clean, gleaming buildings and signage for businesses you don't recognize. Even the fares in glowing numbers above his dashboard. It's much too high, surely a mistake. No charge, he insists. A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, the man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
Brother!
He screams. They embrace in the road. Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
Take a photo of us!
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck. The long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount.